everyone, welcome back to Great Northwest Weaponry. This is Thomas, and today we are doing another edged weapon demo, our first ever sword demo, as this is the one and only sword currently in my collection. Picked this up about a month ago for my friends at the Warfront. This is the Japanese Type 32 NCO sword, also called the Otsu or OTSU. I'm not 100% certain on if saying that as an acronym is more accurate or saying it as an individual word. My grasp on Japanese is basically non-existent, but I do know a pretty good amount about the history of this thing, and there's a lot of interesting information about this sword. Another interesting thing with this video, this one was voted on by you, the viewers of my channel, as I posted a community poll showcasing 4 different edged weapons that we've yet to demo on this channel. About 480, little more. I think last check it was at 481 votes, and the Type 32 sitting at a tidy 34% of that vote in the number 1 place. Second place being the USMC K-Bar at 29% of the vote. So by 5%, your winner for the poll is the Type 32. Now, there are a number of misconceptions about this sword. Some dating discrepancies, and just the fact that most people seem to simply view this as a cavalry saber, as it is modeled on European cavalry sabers of the 1800s. But the model seen before us is in fact an NCO sword, and we'll definitely get into the weeds on that a bit. First, we're going to talk a bit about the date. So this is a model of 1899. Type 32 does translate to 1899, and some of this, I can forgive some of the sources that I've seen for not understanding how the Japanese date system of that time period worked, especially the earlier sources, but I've seen at least 3 different dates assigned to this. I have seen, I believe it was 1886, it might have been 1896, 1889, and 1899. Now, how can I be so confident this is a model 1899? Universally, this is called the Type 32. I have never seen a discrepancy in that fact. What that means is the 32nd year of Emperor Meiji's rule, the 32nd year of the Meiji period. The Japanese calendar system at that time was organized by the period of time in which any given emperor ruled. Emperor Meiji came to power in 1867. 32 years later would be 1899. Not 1889, not 1896, not 1886, 1899. So I'm pretty firm in my categorically stating that this is a model 1899. This, as far as it being a NCO saber in place of it being a cavalry saber, which is commonly believed that all of this model are, comes from actually a weird little thing here is simply the blade length. There are 2 types of Type 32. So there's the version A and the version B. Version A being denoted by the Japanese character for Ko or KO. I'm not very educated on how or if the Japanese used acronyms to assign to these, and when I was looking up on translators for the 2 words associated with this sword, I couldn't really find anything denoting if that is an acronym or if it is an individual word. But the Ko, the first model, is a 32-inch long blade, and then the Otsu or OTSU is a 30-inch blade. Also, I'm going to go back to my confusion on that. The reason I'm not sure if it's an acronym or not also stems from the fact that most of the sources that I've seen that distinguish between the Ko and Otsu have the letters KO both capitalized, or the Otsu, OTSU, all capitalized. So in English, that would often indicate that it is an acronym. So like NCO, for example, is non-commissioned officer or non-commissioned officer. It's it's a common practice in English to denote an acronym with all caps letters. But again, my grasp on the Japanese language, basically non-existent. So this is the 30-inch blade model, making it the Model B, the OTSU. These are not the most sought after of Japanese swords. Everybody wants the Shin Gunto, the World War II NCO katana. And I very much want one of those myself, but I couldn't resist jumping on these. They had a long service life running from 1899 all the way to 1945. You can actually find pictures of mass amounts of these captured in 1945 by U.S. soldiers. There was a particular picture that I seen of a American soldier sitting on top of a pile of these, and you could identify that it was these specifically because of that hole in the bottom of the handguard there. These replaced I think it was the Type 26 sabers that came before, of which both the Type 26 and Type 32 are based on European cavalry sabers of the mid to late 1800s, which have, a kind of shallow curve, single edge, and a wide D-shaped handguard. This model would be sent to NCOs in all branches of the Japanese military. It seems prominently the Army, and again, would stay in service all the way until 1945. I actually saw one source saying that part of the reason that they saw such a long service is because no order to cease production was officially ever given. Determining the date on these can be interesting, as there's several gaps where it's date unknown, and this one actually falls in a date unknown period. So we'll be going to the tabletop and look a little closer at some of the markings on this, but from the serial number range, I'm guessing it's between 1909 and 1910 for year of production, but definitive years of production, the latest that I've seen that has a definitive date is 1926. So actual production numbers and the actual run of when exactly they were produced is unknown. From any source that I can find, I've yet to find anything that states this many were made. It's just they were made at least from 1899 until the 1920s, and they stayed in service until the end of World War II. So, fascinating piece, and yeah. Before I ramble any further, let's go ahead and go to the tabletop and look at what few markings there are on this example.
Now, before I forget, as I had not mentioned this previously, both version A and version B of the Type 32, all of them were manufactured by Tokyo Artillery Arsenal. Now, some details on both the sword and scabbard, as this is an original scabbard here. The serial number on the sword can be found on the left side here on the ricasso. There is often a character stamped on the right side. I don't know what this one means. I did try to find it. This is where often you'll find a marking denoting the date, from my understanding. But again, this one, that serial number range, 72,000, does not fall in any of what I could find of the known serial numbers. These have a very nearly full-length ricasso, only ending at the last inch of the blade, and were sharpened. There were sharpening guides given out to Japanese soldiers for these, from my understanding. The backstrap is blued steel, as is the crossguard. The actual front of the handle here is wood, and both should be matched checkering. Also notable, there are fakes of these, but they are very easy to spot. The ones that I've seen, either this will all be in the white and extremely bright, or it'll be painted green. Now, there is a benefit to these not being as sought after when it comes to that, is that the fakes aren't that great, because not everybody is looking for one and willing to pay top dollar for one. There are really no other markings on the blade itself, but there is one feature here. So there's this little leather piece to guard it when inserting into the sheath, and there's this locking piece here that you have to depress with your thumb when extracting it from the sheath, so it didn't just rattle free. But you can see that little rivet there, and on this example, and this is I've seen this on a number of these, you can see the back of that rivet was ground off. Now, originally, these had a little leather finger loop right here, and it would be attached to that rivet. But again, many of them that is absent. This could be because of their long service life. I don't really know a definitive reason why those are often missing, but simple fact, they are often missing. Now, as for the scabbard, it is also going to be this blued steel. The serial number can be found down at this end here. This one is not matched to the sword. And again, it seems that that is very common. Most of the forums that I was looking at, people who have a sword with the sheath, it is not matched. That could be something that happened when the U.S. procured these, so to speak. They could have simply been put in the wrong sheaths. It could also be another side effect of these having such a long service life, just needing a replacement sheath like this one, even in relatively good condition, is a bit dinged up. It's not terrible. There's no significant dents or bends in it. The worst dent in it is right there. Then also, you will note these, the originals have a brass throat, so as to not as likely damage the blade. Single sling point here. And that is about it. It's a cool piece. Super glad to have a sword in my collection finally. And hopefully it is the first of many. I do have plans to procure a number of other edged weapons going forward. A genuine Shingunto being one that I would very much like to get my hands on at some point, as well as a number of other knives. We will be doing those other blade demos that were posted in the poll, hopefully over the course of this year. Might not get through all of them by the end of the year, but should at least knock out a couple of them. In the meantime, I hope you all enjoyed the video. It's been Thomas with Great Northwest Weaponry, and I will see you all next time.